Okay, we're going to continue on our rounding spree, and we're going to learn how to round to the thousands place. And it's just like rounding to the tens and hundreds places, except this time with the thousands. Okay, so it works like this. If I give you a number like 700, and I were to tell you, I want you to round to the nearest thousand, which basically means that I want you to choose the number, the multiple of 1,000 that is closest to 700. Okay? So 1,000 times 0 is 0. 1,000 times 1 is 1,000. So which is closer, 0 or 1,000? Which is closer to 700? Well, it's 1,000. Duh. So if we were to round 700 to the thousands, it would be 1,000. That'd be the 1,000 we choose. What if I give you a number like 2,400? And I were to ask you round that to the nearest thousands. Well, what are the closest multiples of 1,000? You have 1,000 times 2, which is 2,000, and 1,000 times 3, which is 3,000. Those are the two closest multiples to 2,400. Now, which is closest to 2,400? Well, it's 2,000 because it's only 400 spaces away from 2,400. But 3,000 is 600 spaces away from 2,400. So as you can see, it's sort of just like rounding to the hundreds or rounding to tens. And just like rounding to the hundreds, rounding to tens, if the space between the two multiples of 1,000 are the same, for example, if I were to ask you round 3,500 to the nearest thousands, well, the nearest thousands are 4,000 and 3,000, but each one is exactly 500 away. So then, what do we do? Well, you choose a higher number. With tens, with rounding to tens, you choose a higher number. With rounding to hundreds, you choose a higher number. So with thousands, it's the exact same. You choose a higher number. If I were to ask you round 3,500 to the nearest thousands, it'd be the exact same. I'll tell you, you choose 4,000 because that's the higher number. Okay, now let's try another thousands. What about 7,200? Round that to the nearest thousands. Did you do it? Give it a try? Please tell me you did. Okay. Well, let's find the closest multiples to 7,200. 1,000 times 7 is 7,000. 1,000 times 8 is 8,000. Those are the two closest multiples of 1,000 to 7,200. Now, which one is closer, 7,000 or 8,000? Well, it's 7,000. 7,000 is only 200 away from 7,200. So we would choose 7,200. I mean, we choose 7,000. And I'm going to get a little bit trickier with you. I'm going to teach you something else. If I were to ask you, I'm going to give you two numbers. I want you to add them together. But first, before adding them together, I want you to round them to their nearest thousands and then add them together. For example, I want you to add 2,340 plus 4,700. Okay, but first I want you to round them. Okay, so 2,340 rounded to the nearest thousand is 2,000, and then 4,700 rounded to the nearest thousand is 5,000. And then I want you to add them together, which adding those two numbers together would be 7,000. So this, what we just did, is called estimation. Oftentimes, it's not accurate, but it doesn't have to be accurate. What we're looking for is just an estimation, which is just a guess, a close guess. As in, we know that 2,340 plus 4,700 is not 7,000. But we know it's probably going to be around 7,000 because we rounded them to their nearest thousands. And then we added them up. So what we just did was an estimation to the nearest thousands. We made a guess to the nearest thousands. It's easier. It's not accurate, but it's easier. It's an approximation. It's an estimation. And sometimes scientists do this, actually. Sometimes scientists use estimation. So yeah, at home, round to the nearest thousands and find numbers and round those to the nearest thousands and add them up together and get estimations to that number and see how off they were to the actual number. So yeah, so it's cool.